The Bermuda Triangle, a place where the laws of physics cease to exist and ancient nightmares begin to stir in the shadows of the deep. Here, the horizon stretches into infinity, hiding secrets that have swallowed ships and planes for centuries without leaving a single trace behind for us. Navigation fails as the magnetic fields warp, leaving the crew blind in a vast watery desert where the North Star no longer points the way. Digital systems glitch and fail, replaced by the static of an unknown interference that hums through the very hull of the luxury yacht's structure. The captain senses the change in the air, a heavy stillness that precedes a storm not of wind, but of something far more ancient and hungry. Laughter echoes across the deck, soon to be silenced by the realization that they have entered the heart of the world's most mysterious and deadly trap. The atmosphere thickens as a wall of darkness moves in, erasing the stars and leaving the travelers in a void where time seems to stand still. Suddenly, the heartbeat of the ship stops. The engines die, leaving only the sound of the ocean slapping against the hull in the gathering gloom. Without power, the vessel becomes a toy for the currents, drifting into the center of a silent, watery graveyard where no help can ever reach. Beneath the surface, something massive is moving, displacing thousands of tons of water as it circles its prey with the patience of an apex predator. Fear takes hold as they peer into the abyss, searching for the source of the ripples that now rock the boat with increasing and rhythmic force. Desperation sets in as every attempt to restore power fails, the ship becoming a floating cage in the middle of a predator's vast hunting ground. The fog rolls in, thick and suffocating, creating a wall that separates them from the rest of the world and the reality they once knew well. A low vibration begins to rattle the very bones of the ship, a sound so deep it is felt rather than heard by everyone on board. The sensors pick up a ghost, a signal so large it defies logic, moving with a speed that no modern creature should be able to possess. A glimpse of prehistoric power reveals itself, a fin, like a mountain peak, cutting through the water, signaling the arrival of a legend reborn. In the red glow of the emergency lights, the realization of their helplessness sinks in as the ocean prepares to reveal its darkest, oldest secret. Deep below, an eye as large as a window opens, cold and calculating, fixed on the small metallic speck floating above its ancient, watery kingdom. The first contact is subtle, a gentle nudge from a giant that could crush the hull like a tin can if it truly desired to. The shadow grows, stretching longer than the yacht itself, a silent ghost of the Cenozoic era rising to reclaim its place at the top. The sea falls silent, the bubbles stopping as the predator holds its breath, preparing for the strike that will change their lives forever in an instant. It is a living fossil, a nightmare of bone and muscle that has survived the ages in the lightless depths of the Bermuda Triangle's heart. The sinking light illuminates a nightmare, rows of serrated teeth as large as hands, waiting in the dark to tear through flesh and steel alike. Nature's fury manifests in the form of a beast, lifting the ship as if it were nothing, asserting its dominance over the intruders of its domain. The fin breaks the surface, a silent warning of the carnage to come, as the Megalodon begins its final approach toward the trembling luxury yacht. There is no mercy in that eye, only the cold drive of hunger and the territorial instinct of a creature that has never known a rival. The hull begins to buckle, the sound of screaming metal joining the chorus of the wind as the first breach allows the ocean to enter. Bioluminescence lights up the spray like liquid stars, a beautiful yet terrifying display of the power contained within the shark's massive, muscular frame. Panic erupts as the survivors scramble for safety, knowing that the thin walls of the yacht are the only thing keeping them from the maw. The shark creates its own vortex, a swirling trap that ensures nothing can escape its reach as it prepares for the killing blow of the hunt. The radar confirms what their hearts already know: the predator is here, and there is no distance left between the hunter in the hunted today. Through the glass, they see the scale of the monster, a wall of living muscle that dwarfs their entire world in its sheer, prehistoric magnitude. The elements themselves seem to conspire against them, as the storm above mirrors the chaos below in a symphony of destruction and primal fear. Inside that maw lies the end of all things, a dark abyss where light and life are extinguished by the crushing power of ancient, serrated bone. The Voyager becomes a victim, its name a cruel irony as it prepares to embark on a final journey to the floor of the deep. It breathes the same air, yet it belongs to a different world, a world where humans are nothing more than a momentary distraction in its hunt. The final seconds of the calm before the storm arrive, as they stare into the black water, waiting for the inevitable impact of the beast. The attack begins with a roar of displaced water, the Megalodon launching its massive body into the air with the grace of a nightmare's strike. Fiberglass and steel offer no resistance to the prehistoric bite, shattering and splintering as the shark's jaws lock onto the ship with lethal, crushing intent. Chaos reigns on deck as the world turns upside down, the survivors thrown like dolls by the sheer kinetic energy of the Megalodon's violent, powerful assault. Death is only inches away, the scent of the ocean and the ancient beast filling their lungs as they stare into the face of their extinction. The ship is being dismantled piece by piece, its pride and structure failing under the relentless power of a creature that knows no equal in nature. Below deck, the battle is already lost as the sea claims the interior, turning luxury into a watery tomb in a matter of terrifying seconds. The tail strike is a hammer blow, crushing the bridge and ending all hope of control as the ship is left a drifting, broken shell. Into the water they go, the very element that hideously conceals their hunter, now becoming their only path to a desperate and uncertain survival today. It circles back, a shadow in the sapphire deep, watching the debris and the survivors with the calculating coldness of a master of the prehistoric seas. A desperate reach for life is shadowed by the approaching fin, a race against time where the prize is another few moments of terrified breath. The maw opens once more, a gate to the void, as the Megalodon prepares to sweep through the remains of the yacht and its former passengers. The yacht's final breath comes in a burst of air and oil, a screen of bubbles that briefly masks the movements of the Titan below. One last strike to ensure its victory. The shark rams the hull with the force of a locomotive, sending the remains of the Voyager down. For a moment, there is a horrific silence, the predator gone from sight but never from mind, as they float in the vast, open grave. In the vastness of the Bermuda Triangle, they are nothing more than specks, lost in a place that has forgotten the meaning of mercy or rescue. The beast plays with its prey, creating waves that threaten to pull them back into the deep, reminding them who truly rules these dark, cursed waters. The shock is paralyzing, the image of the shark's maw burned into their minds, a vision of prehistoric death that no human was meant to see. The circle closes. The predator is refining its target, narrowing the space between life and the crushing darkness that waits just beneath the wave's surface. A single hope remains, a small tool of fire in a world of water. A desperate chance to signal for a help that may never come. It watches them, its head rising like an island from the sea, an ancient god of the deep, evaluating the last remnants of its latest conquest. The lightning reveals the truth. The beast is larger than they ever imagined, a titan of flesh that defies every law of the modern world's biology. A silent roar of power vibrates through the water, a sound that signals the beginning of the end for any who remain in the triangle. They huddle together, a small island of humanity against a sea of prehistoric nightmare, waiting for the shadow to return for its final, deadly feast. Below the surface, the perspective shifts. The legs of the survivors are vulnerable lures, dangling in a void where something massive is always watching closely. The Megalodon bow, Vong Quan, its movements like a ballet of death. A heavy, muscular grace that has been perfected over millions of years of hunting. The engine of this beast is its breath, the gills pulsing rhythmically, fueling the massive muscles that can propel it through the water like a torpedo. The ocean pulls them down into the cold, a silent thief of breath, leading them into the heart of the Megalodon's dark and watery prehistoric kingdom. The eye of the beast is a window into the ancient world, a time when humans were not even a thought in the mind of the earth. The graveyard reveals itself, the ghosts of past victims of the triangle resting in the sand, witnesses to the power that has ruled here forever. Steel meets prehistoric bone, the shark tasting the artificial world and finding it lacking compared to the raw power of its own ancient physical form. Pressure builds as they descend, the world closing in, their only view the terrifying proximity of a creature that has lived in this pressure forever. With a flick of its tail, the shark displaces the ocean, a shockwave of power that reminds everything in its path of its absolute and total authority. Life's breath escapes toward the surface, passing the mountain of flesh that is the Megalodon, a silent witness to the frailty of the human presence here. The jaw unhinges, a masterpiece of biological engineering designed for one purpose: to consume anything that dares to cross its path in the deep blue. The bell tolls for the lost, a sound that echoes through the silence of the triangle, marking another addition to the collection of the sea's secrets. The light fades, leaving only the shadow, a creature of the twilight zone where the rules of the surface world are forgotten and buried in sand. Up close, the beast is a landscape of scars and sensors, an organic machine built for the hunt, detecting the very heartbeat of its terrified human prey. The vertical hunt begins, the shark rising from the abyss to claim the surface, its maw a gateway to the end of a very short story. In a display of haunting beauty, the shark is illuminated by the sea's own light, a titan among the fragile, glowing dancers of the deep ocean. The debris finds its place among the relics of the past, adding to the history of the triangle as the shark continues its eternal, hungry patrol. Into the trench it goes, a king returning to his throne in the darkest part of the world, where the pressure is enough to crush dreams. Time itself fails here, the seconds slowing down as the reality of the hunt takes over, leaving only the now and the next heartbeat of survival. It finds them by scent, a bloodhound of the deep that can track a single drop through miles of salt water and shifting, deceptive ocean currents. Two worlds touch at the surface, one of air and light, and one of ancient, predatory darkness that is about to breach the boundary once more. The sound of the bite is final, a mechanical clap of bone that signals the predator's readiness to end the game and claim its final prize. One last stand on a metal island. The survivor finds a spark of defiance, holding the only weapon left against a god of the prehistoric sea. The shark comes like a storm, a direct charge that threatens to sweep the container and its lone defender into the churning, hungry mouth of death. The trigger is pulled, a tiny mechanical click that carries the weight of 1,000 prayers as the flare prepares to meet the ancient monster. Fire meets the water, a streak of artificial light that challenges the darkness of the triangle and the predator that calls this cursed place its home. Impact. The flare erupts in a blinding flash, a man-made sun that burns the ancient skin and startles a creature that has never known a burn. For the first time in millions of years, the apex predator feels the sting of a world it doesn't understand, thrashing in a moment of confusion. A second shot blinds the beast, turning the water into a chaotic mess of light and shadow that hides the survivors from the shark's cold gaze. Hands shake, but the heart holds firm, the desperate rhythm of reload and aim becoming the only thing that stands between life and the abyss today. The container groans under the impact, the metal buckling as the Megalodon uses its massive tail to dismantle the last refuge of the human survivors. It is a battle of scales, a tiny point of light against a mountain of prehistoric shadow, a fight for survival in the heart of the triangle. The shark goes for the kill, a vertical strike from the darkness that aims to swallow the container and everything on it in one single bite. A leap of faith as the container vanishes, the sound of metal being shredded echoing through the air as the survivor narrowly escapes the predator's maw. The beast struggles with the indigestible metal, its frustration growing as the prey continues to elude its final, crushing grasp in the cold, dark water. The last flare rises, a silent scream for help that paints the sky in blood-red light, a beacon for anyone who might still be out there. The shark pauses, its prehistoric brain unable to process the falling fire, giving the survivors a few precious moments to catch their breath and pray. With nothing left but iron and will, they strike back, a tiny wound against a giant that serves as a reminder of the human spirit's strength. Retreating for now, the beast dives, its massive wake pulling everything into a final, swirling chaos as it vanishes back into the deep, dark abyss. The silence returns, heavy and cold. The survivor is alone in the dark, the heartbeat of the ocean the only sound in the vast, empty sea. A glimmer on the horizon, a promise of life in a world of death, as the long night of the Megalodon's hunt begins to finally end. Morning arrives with a cruel beauty, the sun rising over a graveyard of wood and metal, where the ocean looks as if nothing ever happened. The survivors are ghosts of themselves, their minds still trapped in the dark of the night and the shadow of the prehistoric beast they faced. Scale returns to the world, showing how small we are in the face of the deep, a speck of life in a vast and uncaring wilderness. All that remains are the fragments of a dream, the name of a ship that went to see the world and found something that should have stayed lost. Deep below, the shadow remains. It has not left, only retreated, waiting for the next intruder to dare cross the invisible lines of its ancient kingdom. The triangle keeps its secrets well, the water closing over the past as if to erase every trace of the struggle that took place here tonight. Will they ever truly be safe? The memory of the teeth and the eye will haunt every wave they see for the rest of their lives. The beauty of the ocean is a mask, a deceptive blue curtain that hides the prehistoric machinery of death that has ruled since the dawn of time. Help arrives, but the ocean has already taken what it wanted, leaving only the broken remains and the stories of those who survived the nightmare. In the darkness, the king still waits. The Megalodon is not gone. It is simply home, patient and eternal, in the heart of the Bermuda Triangle. The legend is real. The nightmare is awake, and the sea will never be the same again for those who know the truth of the deep. Lost in the Bermuda Triangle. Some legends are better left in the dark, and some monsters are better left forgotten in the prehistoric depths of time.